Hi guys, I'm Laura Vitale, and on this episode of Laura in the Kitchen, I'm going to share with you how to make the most delicious, perfectly juicy, perfectly bronzed, roasted turkey breast. Now this is going to be perfect for those of you that are having a smaller gathering for Thanksgiving. My most popular Thanksgiving recipe to date is my beloved Thanksgiving turkey, which I posted about, 9-10 years ago. It's been a very long time, and I've done different variations of roasted turkey, but that still seems to be the most popular one, definitely the favorite. And I've been getting a lot of questions from you on Instagram. If you don't follow me there, please do. We talk a lot amongst ourselves. I've been getting a lot of questions about, hey, can you apply that method to something smaller, because I'm only having 6 people over and I don't want to have a 20-pound turkey and I don't want to have that many leftovers. So here's what I've done today. I'm taking that same method, that same loved recipe, and making it, to feed 6 people, because there is no reason to skimp and not have a delicious roast turkey dinner on Thanksgiving if you're having less people. So let's make our compound butter, which you guys know is my favorite thing to make for my turkey. We're going to stuff this inside the actual turkey, like the skin, underneath the skin, to really make everything super flavorful and delicious. In this bowl, I've got some butter softened at room temperature. I'm just going to do this here so that I can chop all my herbs together. And I'm going to chop together parsley, thyme, rosemary, lemon zest, and garlic. I'm going to chop it up really, really, really fine and add it to my softened butter. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'll show you what it looks like when it's there. All the herbs are in. Try to chop them as fine as possible. I'm going to go ahead and grate in some garlic. The little bits that you don't get to grate, I just throw them right in there. And I'm also going to go ahead and zest in some lemon. Now imagine all of these wonderful flavors trapped between the skin and the meat, right? It's going to keep it not only, obviously, moist. I know some people hate that word, but it's the truth. I'm sorry. But it's also going to infuse it with so much flavor. It's going to infuse it with the rosemary, the sage, the lemon. I'm telling you, there is a reason why so many of you love my classic Thanksgiving turkey recipe. It's just totally foolproof. Everyone loves it. No matter how many variations on it I make, you always go back to the same one. Add a really good amount of salt here. This is the only chance you have to season the meat, essentially. Because when we season the outside, you're seasoning the skin, which is great. But you want to season the meat. You want to season between the skin and the meat, right? So now that you have all that there, go ahead and give it a smooch. I like to make sure I have all of my stuff ready before I grab my turkey, because once I start handling that, I don't want to have to touch anything else if I can help it. Now I've got a pan over here, and yes, I do roast this in a nice big skillet, oven-proof skillet, of course. The reason is because then this becomes the perfect place for me to make my gravy. And listen, I'm the one that does the dishes around here, so less pans to wash up and lots of good stuff collects in the bottom of your pan. So I want to trap all that flavor, so I place it in whatever pan you have that can go from oven to stovetop. Use that. I've also forgotten to mention that while this is in the oven, we're also going to make a very simple, delicious stuffing, because I want you to have a beautiful day, not to stress. And I know there's a lot of wonderful, creative, amazing recipes on the interwebs these days, but I want to be your go-to person that you go to for like the recipes you really feel like you can make and you can pull together really quickly. So we're also going to make turkey, stuffing, and roast it alongside the turkey. It's perfect. Let's talk turkey. Let's talk this beautiful baby. Now, this, as you can see, is a turkey breast. It's on the bone, and it's called the wing meat over here. There's no bone, but it's just called the wing meat. What I like to do is, where's my knife? I like to just cut off this piece of skin because I don't need it. I just make sure that my turkey is rinsed and patted dry. And I like this. I wouldn't cook, to be honest with you, I wouldn't cook turkey breast that wasn't on the bone, because it would dry out. So just make sure that your turkey breast is on the bone. I always average about 1.25 pounds per person. you're not going to eat that much, but you have to take into consideration all the bones that are in there, right? So this is about an 8-pound turkey breast. They may give me a little bit of leftover, which I might like, but it's going to feed 6 people very, very happily. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this baby in that pan. It's come here, bring it closer to me. Okay, and I put it over top of my vegetables because I want all of the drippings to come in here and really flavor everything well. I'm gonna go grab some paper towels because I need to pat everything really dry and wash my hands really quickly before I handle my container with the salt. Okay, you just want to make sure that you really pat the outside of this baby very dry, otherwise it will not, your butter will not stick. So my oven's preheated to 425. Just make sure that this baby is stabilized and going nowhere. We got our onions and celery. That's going to create a little bit of a bed for the turkey, but also you're going to be able to have that flavor to make your gravy. I'm going to use a wooden spoon, the handle of a wooden spoon, and I'm going to come in here and loosen the skin. This is not going to look pretty for a second, but you know what? It is what it is. And you see what I'm doing? I'm loosening between the skin and the meat. And that's where the butter is going to go, okay? Most of the butter. So, like that. Do it on the other side. Like I said, not a pretty thing right now, but listen, this is my job to show you how to get really yummy food, right? Okay, now I'll show you. You take some of your butter underneath, and you're pushing it. Can you see? Can you see over here? Look, we're pushing it, right? Push it in there, and that is just going to end up going all the way through to your meat. And you can also use your fingers because, listen, leave no spots untouched. And as it melts, it will coat everything really nicely. I'm going to spare you the entire process because admittedly, it's not a pretty thing to look at, but it is going to be so good. And you're going to probably use about half the butter to stuff underneath the skin, and then we save the other half for the top. Take the rest of the butter, and you're just going to smear this literally all over the outside of your turkey breast. And not only is it going to add lots of flavor, but it's also going to help create the most beautiful bronze skin. Like I said, I know it's not the prettiest thing to look at, but it'll be good. Promise ya. Season every side. Remember, this hand's not touching the turkey, so I go back and forth into my salt container, so that's real important. You want to season every side. Lots of salt, coarse ground black pepper. There you go. Beautiful. Okay, now we're done with the salt. We can touch. And it looks messy, but just deal with it. Okay, it'll be so worth it in the end. In this little area right here, I like to take a half of a lemon, stick it right in, infuses it with even more flavor. Okay, now here's the thing. You're going to add a little bit of water around the edge, around the pan. Why? Because I want it to create lots of juices to make my gravy. So you'll get some from the turkey, but you also need to add some water. This, I mean, depending on what you read, depending on how you like your meat cooked, I average 15 minutes per pound, right? So do the math, however big your bird is. I do 15 minutes per pound, starting at 425 for 30 minutes. Then I decrease the temperature to 350 and I continue to cook it until the internal temperature of the thickest part reaches 165. Don't cook it any longer because as it sits and rests for a good 45 minutes, it will continue overcooking. And you don't want to overcook it in the oven, and as it sits, it gets up to 200, and then you'll have very dry turkey, and nobody likes that. So my method is 15 minutes per pound, always at 425 for the first half an hour to really help with that beautiful golden brown color. While that's in there for that 30 minutes, we're going to work on making our stuffing, and then it can cook alongside for the rest of the time that the turkey breast needs to cook. So adjust the time according to the size of your turkey breast, but that's usually my ballpark of time. I gotta wash my hands before I touch this pan. I can't take dirty hands. All right, so we're making a very simple, delicious herb stuffing. It's really no different than my favorite stuffing that I shared with you last year. The only difference is I'm not adding sausage. I just didn't feel like, honestly, I felt like it would have been a little bit too heavy for a small crowd. And it's just simple and it's easy, and I don't want to make a ton because if I'm being 100% honest with you, which I always am, if I'm being very honest with you, I don't love leftover stuffing. So I don't want to make a ton of stuffing if it's just going to be a few people. But by all means, and always, as you know, I'm here to give you ideas. I am here to provide you with ideas, but you do you because you're the boss of your own kitchen. So if you want to make this for more people, for less people, if you want to add sausage, if you want to add some apples, if you wanted to add anything that you wanted, feel free to do so. Don't let me tell you not to. I'm just sharing with you what I would do and hope that you enjoy. And I wanted to do the stuffing in the same video as the turkey breast because, by the way, there was some butter in the skillet, simply because I get a lot of questions about how do you cook things at different temperatures, what, you know, this and that. Follow me on Instagram because as we get closer to Thanksgiving, I'll do a breakdown for you of what you can make what and when to bake what and when. And hopefully it answers all of your questions. I did the same thing last year and a lot of you really love that. So we'll do it again. And I just wanted to kind of do the whole thing at once because it's easy. I actually tested this recipe cooking the stuffing around the turkey and I did not like that. I felt like it absorbed way too much of the grease from the turkey breast and it just cooked at different temperatures, so I didn't like that. All I'm going to do is cook my celery and my onion until they become soft and translucent. I'm also going to go ahead and chop up lots of herbs. Again, more parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme. And now I have some bread here. It wasn't totally dried out, so I threw it in the oven just for a few minutes until it dried out, and it is perfect. If you watched last year's stuffing video, you know I don't like to cut my bread into perfect cubes because I feel like you're missing out on nibbly bits. Why was there a little bit of water in there? You're missing out like nibbly little bits. So I just tear up my bread and I dry it out in a really low oven, or you can even do it overnight in a sheet pan just left out on your kitchen counter. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop all this in here, chop up my herbs, cook my onions and celery, and then move forward. Those look great. I'm going to go ahead and add my chopped herbs. This was just parsley, rosemary, sage, and thyme. Same as the herbs that went into the compound butter. Just turning that off. I like to use, I like to do this all the time, but I especially like to do it at times like these where we don't want to go to the grocery store so much. I try to share recipes with you, especially if it comes to like a meal idea that use a lot of the same ingredients so that your shopping list is short and you can get in and out of the grocery store. And plus, nothing goes to waste, right? Because you buy one thing and you use it in 2 or 3 different things and nothing goes waste. We love that. Okay, so that is done. Adding it to a bowl. I always like to add my herbs to a skillet because the heat kind of like wakes them up a little bit, and I really, really like that. Add those right in. Give them a nice little stir. And then we're going to add, it smells so amazing already. We're going to add some chicken stock. I like to do a little bit at a time. Oopsies. And then just kind of mix it until it incorporates into the bread. 1 egg. Add that all in. That's good enough. I'm not going to add much else. I meant to say much more liquid. Now this doesn't look like it's going to be enough to feed a lot of people, but trust me, how much stuffing does a person need? Maybe I shouldn't ask because I know some people really love stuffing, but this is perfect. And I bake it in a pan. You know me, I've talked about this last year. I do not like my stuffing. I like my stuffing cooked sort of shallow. So I wouldn't use a smaller pan than this because then otherwise you won't have very many crispy bits. You'll have just a lot of mushy bits on the bottom, and I don't like that. I don't roll that way. It's not my thing. I also meant to tell you that I did season my onions with salt and pepper. That's really important. So now I'm going to cover this baby. I'm not going to do anything to it until my timer goes off, which means that the turkey will have been in there for 30 minutes at 425. Once I put the oven temperature down to 350, I'm gonna go ahead and pop this in. I'm gonna cook it covered for 20 minutes, uncovered for another half an hour or so, and then the turkey will come out slowly after that, and then everything should sort of be coming out together at the same time. And don't worry if you don't remember everything I said, because I will have it listed and written for you on the recipe portion of this on LaurieInTheKitchen.com. So just gonna cover this, let it sit until the timer goes off. My turkey breast came out of the oven about a half an hour ago. You always want to make sure that you let your meat rest when it comes out of the oven or even out of the skillet so that all the juices can redistribute. You can see it's absolutely gorgeous. I love that golden brown color. Now remember, 15 minutes a pound or so, starting at 425 for half an hour, lower the heat to 350 and continue cooking till the internal temperature of the thickest part reaches about 165, 170, you're good. And then you, as it sits, it carry over cooks a little bit. So you are in the right ballpark. So in here, I am gonna take these veggies out, okay? Now, we're gonna be honest with each other. My husband loves these veggies that cook with the turkey. I do not. So this is gonna be just for him tonight. It is just not my favorite thing. I just don't like them. Let me know if down below you're like me or you're like my husband. I take them out and you can see there's a lot of fat with there's a lot of really beautiful juices in the pan, but there's also a lot of fat. I just wanna get all the juices out. There's also a lot of fat. So I pour this through a fat separator because I want the juices to make a gravy, but I don't want all the fat. So I do that. If I were making homemade turkey stock to make my gravy, which I do like to do if I'm having a big Thanksgiving, then I would go ahead and use it here. I'm not going to be doing that simply because I don't feel like it. It's just going to be a few people. I don't want to do a whole big pot of turkey stock just to make a little bit of gravy. So I'm going to use whatever drippings I have here with a little bit of chicken stock. I'm going to make a roux. It's going to be delicious. Add some white wine. I think that would make it really, really delicious. But I'm going to go grab a different measuring cup. I don't have one here so that I can separate this. Once I see that all of the juices are out and I can see the fat back, I will stop. There we go. And I'm going to use a little bit, this is a third cup of fat. I don't want that in my final dish. So I just use maybe about a tablespoon or two, just enough to help me make a very light roux with some flour. Again, this is not going to be a ton of gravy because there's not a ton of turkey, right? So all I'm going to do is whisk the flour. I need just a tiny bit more fat like that. And I'm just going to cook this for a few seconds. It is a big pan, but like I said, listen, I am not the one to be doing a lot of extra dishes, okay? When you can no longer see raw bits of flour, you add in your drippings, and as this comes to a boil, it will melt all those little pieces and some stock. And now this is going to come to a boil. It's going to bubble, it's going to thicken, and it's going to be perfect. Just give it time to do its magic. You see they're already starting to melt, and it'll be fantastic. Like I said, add some white wine to this. That would be really delicious. But just to make it friendly for everyone, I'm just gonna leave it out. But you do you, boo. So now let's talk plating, okay? I got my stuffing back there, which I'm gonna bring out in just a minute because I don't have enough room in a bigger island. You know what I'm saying? My turkey is really beautiful. Smells incredible. Absolutely incredible. If you want to, you can go ahead and slice your turkey slice by slice. I do the Ina Garden method, which I feel like is just the best. You take off both of the breasts. It's going to take me a while, so just be patient. Gravy has thickened really nicely. I'm just going to go ahead and turn it off. I'm going to add a squeeze of lemon, just because I feel like it needs a little bit of something bright. If I was adding wine, I wouldn't add lemon, but with the lemon, I'm telling you, it just makes it absolutely delicious. And I am team not too thick. I don't like a super thick gravy, but hey, Just like everything else, cooking is all about what you prefer. And that is perfection. Pour that into your gravy boat. Beautiful. You can always make more. Like I said, you can always make more gravy, less gravy. Okay, so the turkey breast, cut them right off. You can see there's a lot of meat here, so please don't waste any of this meat, okay? It is so good. So, like I said, I do the Ina Garden method, and I go ahead and I slice the whole breast off. Look at that compound butter. Look at the herbs. See that? Mega, mega flavor. Now, if some of you like, oh boy, some of you like dark meat, say you like thighs and a drumstick, you can do the same thing with your drumsticks and your thighs. It'll be a little difficult to stuff underneath the skin, obviously, but hey, just put some compound butter on them and roast them. That would be delicious, and it'll take less time. You can add those to here. It's really whatever your heart desires. You know what I mean? I'm gonna fan this out once I cut the second one. I mean, how gorgeous is this baby? Just gonna go ahead and fan, and I'm also gonna go ahead and pour all these juices in my gravy boat when I'm done as well. Turkey is beautiful. Now, obviously, there's more turkey that I'm gonna pull apart. Look at our stuffing. This is why I like cooking it in a shallow pan. You get just, you hear that? Oh, such a lovely bit. Oh my goodness. That's delicious. I like to add my stuffing right around the plate, and then we're gonna make it look really beautiful and really festive because, hey, put the stuffing around, and then I just take the same herbs that we used in the food, obviously, and we just dress up the plate a little bit just to make it feel a little special. I also have got some clementine oranges here. I've got some lemons, and I think the brightness is really necessary. Just makes it look like we've gone the extra mile of making something look really beautiful and festive, like I said, even if we are celebrating a smaller crowd. You know me, I like any eating opportunity to feel special, okay? Because guess what? Life is short. Food is so good. It's got an incredible, magical way of bringing people together, and I want to celebrate that. So, a few more herbs, things strewed alongside. And that is a beautiful platter to bring to your table. That and your turkey. Let me turn it around so that you can see it all in its glory. I hope that it comes across as beautiful on camera as it does in real life. It's stunning. It's delicious. It's a feast. I'm thankful for this. I'm thankful for you. I'm thankful for health. And I am just thankful to have this community that truly has always meant the world to me, but it has been my lifeline in all of 2020. So I hope that you have a magical Thanksgiving, whether it's 6 people, 8 people, 2 people, or just you. Don't matter. Just so special. I hope that you have a magical day, a beautiful holiday season, because you, my friend, deserve nothing less. The recipe is on laurainthekitchen.com. Go get it, go make it, come hang out with me on Instagram. We have so much fun over there. Hope you enjoy spending time with me, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.